So today we are testing out Phil Hellmuth's or MTGO Phil Hellmuth's Jund Shadow list or Jund Scourge list. Recently top aided the ManaTraders event this past weekend with it. As we've kind of shown in the last week or two, like Jund Shadow's been the shadow variant that's been producing some of the highest consistency results. For example, Michael Rapp top aided one of the modern challenges with Jund. This recent ManaTraders top 8. I believe it's one of the shadow variants that's getting the most consistent trophy representation. So if you're interested in shadow and you're wanting to play a pretty straightforward variant, Jund Shadow could be the choice for you. Some of the options in the main that are a little bit different from what I typically run are things like the Swiftspear Bowmat package to be able to put Luris in the sideboard as a companion, Seal of Fire. In the sideboard, we've got Unravel the Aether and Mystic Repeal. These were kind of options that are added in as additional ways to deal with things like Heliod, as well as like Leyline of Sanctity, things like that can cause you pretty big headaches. Raymo coming in with a 3-month resub. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon. Appreciate you coming by and checking out some of this Jund Shadow action. So let's see. Is there anything else out of the ordinary? Alpine Moons in the board help out with like the Tron matchup, as well as a copy of Cleansing Wildfire. Other than that, a lot of the cards are pretty straightforward. See the sick new old art Gurmag's Thoughtseize and Dismembers? I did. I had them up earlier, and I was going to bring them up on stream at some point. But Times Power Remastered has given us Old Border Thoughtseize, Dismember, Gurmag Angler, Leyline of the Void for the people who are big Leyline fans, Tassiger. And I am excited. I am super excited for those cards. My wallet, less so. But me, ecstatic. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into our first league with Jund Shadow. Slowly see these active players' numbers rising. I want to say a couple days ago it was like 1150. Now we're up over 1240. Freed, what are you trading me? I'm afraid. Make sure I'm not losing my opponent. There we go, away Discord. DM95. Chests, gotcha. Get you that sub. Reveal Luris. Alright, let me get you that gifted. And boom. I got you. Alright, 5 lands, Thoughtseize, Scourge, not really where we want to be. Go ahead and ship that back. 4 lands, we get to throw one of them back. Removal, Tarmogoyf, I'm about it. And we'll throw back Overgrown Tomb, so we can fetch it out with either of these. But yeah, Ramo and Freed, welcome back to the subscribers. As always, you know, you get access to these sweet Death Shadow emotes. Boom. Extra shadow. Glacial Floodplain, so probably like a Bant Snow deck. Went 7-2 in ManaTraders, 1 losses to MTGO crashing, rough. Other was to Blue-White Stoneblade with 4 tech edges and 4 disdainful strokes sideboard. They just wanted it more. They clearly did. Like, I don't know why you thought you stood a chance. All right. Like, those are always the fun ones, right? When your opponent's just, like, so teched out against you. You just, like, never had a chance to begin with, but you want to feel optimistic. So you're like, oh, yeah, I can totally do something against that. Nope. Alright. So, Ice Fang Quaddle's not online at the moment. So we'll start cracking in with some little gentlemen. I don't want to... I'm gonna steal my Swift Spear. Okay. Thank God you decided to steal that and not my Death Shadow. See, but I beat multiple Heliod players, Red Obosh with 4 Moon and 2 Magus sideboard. OP is a fan of the art too, as they should be. This art's sweet. Bounce Matarmagoyf. You gonna attack me too? You're not. You can't start this fight and not see it through. Alright, so this turn I'll just get out a couple threats, and then next turn we'll probably load Lurrus into the hand. Path to Exile. It's going to be an upkeep Path to Exile. Is not. Do I want to play this extra shadow? If they want to, like, counter this and bounce a shadow or counter bounce a Goyf something, that's fine. Counter draw, you got it. Pedro, how's it going? Teferi? Yep. So no second white source there. Kind of indicates, to me at least, that they probably don't have Supreme Verdict in the deck. Wagner, how's it going? Alright, so I would like to take down this Teferi. Path my Goyf. Now am I bolting myself to get the Shadow Lethal, or am I bolting the Teferi? Guess I can go ahead and bolt myself. Make this Shadow a little more menacing. Another Teferi? Batterskull. Sure. Scourge of the Sky Claves. Alright, so now we can attack with some shadows that are bigger than their germ token. Field of Ruin. Alright, I'm going to go off the assumption that... Or do I want to wait? Like, one more land and I can kick the Scourge for what it's worth. Like, am I going off the assumption that if they had a Wrath, they would have played it already? And I know they're not drawing one next turn. Because if that's the assumption I want to go with, then I kind of want to just slam this Scourge and just, like, make sure they're dead next turn. I think I'm going to go with that. It's Batterskull, sure. Now I know they're drawing Field of Ruin. Alright. So yeah, that game was a lot of guesswork. Like, hoping they don't have it, because it doesn't feel like they have it, because there are better spots they would have played it if they had it. Cute Swifties. These things are awesome. Like, I love this art so much. Let's get rid of some of these removal spells. How much do we want to respect something like Snapcaster? Probably still just better than Battle Rage. Yeah, that's fine. So a lot of the sideboarding in matches like this are just, I don't want one-for-one removal in my deck. And I don't want like Battle Rage as the potential 2-for-1 for my opponent. So I'd rather bring in like some more value cards like K Command and Collective Brutality, things like that. I'll keep this on the draw. What is Kalino doing in here? Good question. Sounds like you should be the one digging into this. EE on 1. Alright. So we do find the second land, which is really nice here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and slam Bomat, get that going. And then next turn I can like Swift Spear plus Inquisition. But I like going ahead and getting a card under Bomat. And like if they want to EE away my 2 1-drops, that's pretty okay with me, because like I'm just trying to set up to Scourge. And if they want to like interact with my Inquisition, then they can't EE my 1-drops. Ice Fang Quaddle, sure. So they have Verdict in now. I think we're going to take this other Ice Fang. And I'll just crash in with both. If they want to trade the Quaddle for the Bomat, fine with that. Rest in peace, you got it. Alright, so let's make you discard. And what do we want to take? Guess we're just taking Path. Take the mana efficient option. Bolt upstairs, because hopefully I can make my opponent like blow this Verdict on this Swift Spear sooner rather than later. Has your opinion on Scourge changed any? I'd say not really, like in the sense that I don't think this is really good for me. In the sense that I don't think my opinion on the card from where I initially had it has affected much, or has been affected much. I still think that it's good in the matchups, or good in the decks that I originally thought it was good in, like the Swift Spear, Bomat Courier, aggressive 1-drop Lightning Bolt decks, and it's still pretty bad in the matchups, or in the decks where you're not able to do that as consistently. I think overall the card's probably been more impactful out of those decks than I gave it credit for. So I'm going to have them discard this Verdict. Deal 2 to Teferi. Is that right? Yeah. Like I would say that Scourge has been more impactful out of the decks that it's good in than I thought it was going to be. But I wouldn't say, like, I'm just jamming Scourge in all these decks. Alright, so now Teferi can't bounce anything. Bomat. Resolve my brutality. I think this is going to get the EE. Yep. Wagner, Jun Shadow is pretty good. 400, 400, 301. That's pretty good lineup there. All right. So opponent, I need you to draw dead and not bounce my Scourge. Yep. Stop having things to cast Veil of Summer. Cards I want banned in Modern for personal hatred. That one. So we're bobbling into another Scourge. Yeah, I think that's better than a random draw. Stoneforge Mystic. So I can Stoneforge plus hard cast a Batterskull. Which is a little unfortunate for us. We've seen one K command, so we still have another. Cards like Lightning Bolt would be good here. Let us like take out this Ice Fang Coatl and force the chump on the Scourges. Seal of Fire does that as well. So I do get Batterskull. Alright. Hard casted, sure. So many baubles. Alright. So if we play Seal, crack it on the Ice Fang, swing with both. They have to block both because if they only block with the Germ token and I fetch and shock, my Scourges become 12/12s. They take 12, gain 4, go to exactly dead. That one. Hiya. I hope you have a Path to Exile, opponent. If not, you are the big dead. Always give your opponent the chance to mess up combat math. Like, there's times when you're figuring out attacks or blocks with Shadow where you always want to assume the worst. And it's kind of where if the worst happens, you get completely blown out and die. For things like if I attack and my opponent blocks in this way, I don't have them dead with a Battle Rage, and I'm dead on the Crackback. Attacks like that, you always want to assume the worst, but attacks like I just had where my opponent has to throw all of their creatures under the bus or they die, but they have the chance to block incorrectly, and I'm not dead on the Crackback, like, I'm pretty okay with those attacks. Or I'm pretty okay assuming my opponent might mess up, I should say. Alright, on the play, we've got just like a really good Inquisition or Thoughtseize into Goyf. I think we're just going to go with that. Like, there's always the argument in these Scourge decks to, like, always lead on your aggressive 1-drops, because if your opponent, or if you draw a Scourge or have a Scourge in hand, you want to get it online, because, like, it's closing out the game a lot quicker than Tarmogoyf is. But with a hand like this, where I don't have a Scourge, and I just have, like, a really strong, proven Modern start, I'm pretty good with that. Discard Goyf, then you can play Bomat and activate it later. There we go. Just go ahead and rip our own hand apart. Alright, so opponent is mulligan to 6. And they reveal... Ooh. Green-white value town. So let's take this Hierarch. Slow him down a chunk. Bobble's a really good draw for me here. Teamer Battle Rage. Yeah, we'll take a Battle Rage. So next turn, it's probably going to be Thoughtseize a Courser. Like, Knight definitely has the higher upside, but I'm hoping that I can grow this Goyf pretty significantly with Enchantment Land in the yard and just start hitting for really good chunks of damage. I see opponent's not a fan of our fun. That's okay. Now it's really okay. So we actually just get to immediately add sorcery back into the yard. So let's take Courser. Crack him with Goyf. And ironically, if opponent cracks this fetch land, and we find a way to lower our life total by a point, then this Scourge can just be lethal next turn with Battle Rage. For anybody who doesn't know the math, if your opponent's at 15 or lower life and you're at 10 or lower life, then Battle Rage, the first strike of a Scourge, is always going to put them to at least 10 or lower, making the Scourge a 10-10. Second strike will always be lethal. So it's good. It's always good to recognize those little like significant life total points. Like, obviously, if they don't block, they're just dead to the Battle Rage anyway. But we'll see what happens. Alright, so let's say I attack with both. Like, I'm 100% attacking with both. Because if they don't block, I just Battle Rage one of my creatures and kill them. I'm wondering if they block a specific way, if Battle Rage isn't lethal. Because maybe I want to throw the Bomat out there as an attacker. So let's say they block Like, if they block Bomat, they just die. So I can throw Bomat out as a pretty free attack. If they block Scourge and I Battle Rage the Scourge, they take 2 trample on the first strike. Puts them down to 13. Scourge grows to a 7. That puts instant in the yard. So they take 5 on the second strike. Put them down to 8. And then 7 lethal. So if they block the Scourge and I Battle Rage the Scourge, it's lethal. If they block the Tarmogoyf, if they had blocked the Tarmogoyf, I Battle Rage the Goyf, trample over for 1, put them to 14. Scourge is 6. Scourge hits 6, 11, or I trample over for 2. So 13, 6, and 5 is 11, 12. So they live if they block the Tarmogoyf. Or if they block the Tarmogoyf, I just Battle Rage the Scourge. No, because I was at 11. It wasn't lethal. Oh, well. Oh, well. Alright. Green-white Value Town. Talk about a deck I haven't seen in a minute. Night of the Reliquarian 2021 Pog. Oh, man. Is Mirabito in hand? You're in here? Of course, Mirabito is always in here. Don't think I want to bring in like enchantment interaction just for Courser. Maybe a Kozilek's return, but I'm not super thrilled about it. I think Bomat Courier gets stonewalled pretty quickly. I'll just go like that on the draw. New Shadow Stream, who dis? See, Spruce, what are your thoughts on Bomat and Jund? It's hard for me to call this Jund because it's just Rakdos with Tarmogoyf, right? Like, it's not really going further down the rabbit hole than that. It's just Rakdos splashing for like an additional good threat. Witch Doctor, how goes it? I love that Planes Walks In intro. That's pretty awesome. Alright, yeah, pretty easy snap keep here. Alright, let's see this this alleged elves list. Wonder if this is close to what Matt's been playing. No, come back here, elves list. Yeah, it is. The War Masters, Realm Walkers. Yeah, Matt's been playing this kind of list a lot recently. And he apparently loves it. So. Doing good, like having a flashy intro. How's you? Can't say I'm complaining too much over here. Get to play Magic on a Monday. Like, what's more to enjoy? Alright, Noble Hierarch, sure. Alright, so we could Swift Spear and attack to make sure we can play Scourge on turn 2. But I think I'd rather just go for Bolt the Hierarch, especially since we have a second removal spell here. So yeah, we're just going to go Blood Crypt, Bolt the Hierarch. Kind of like last turn where our opponent had Bajuka Bog rolled up. I might want to like save a fetch land in hand for that. They also have some value with like Mishra's Baubles, Fatal Pushes, things like that. Been getting into Pauper lately. I played Pauper for a little bit, and then my deck got banned, and I just never really got back into it. But they went on that spree where they started saying like Pauper was going to be like a GP format and all this, and then just like never followed through with it, and I was disappointed. Scavenging ooze. All right. So I think that means we've got a pretty easy like stomping ground, swift spear, bolt the ooze kind of turn right here. So important to remember here. I can bolt the scoos and attack for 2, and that's fine. Or I can attack my opponent with the swift spear, and if they block, bolt to the face, which actually ends up being more damage. So I want to give my opponent the chance to mess up there. Like, I'm 100% getting the scoos off the board this turn. I don't want that around with Tarmogoyfs in my hand. But if my opponent decides to block there, I just get an extra free point of damage. And it doesn't cost me anything. What I'd give to see paper Pauper coverage at a GP. They had a Pauper GP. I don't know how the coverage was, but I know they had one. Ooh, Dismember is actually really solid here. What are my big concerns? I'm guessing they're trying to gear up for something like Collected Company. So if that's the case, I think I'm just going to play out Goyf and pass. Because I don't want them to Collected Company into like, what's his name? Knight of Autumn. And like gain 4 life and kill my Scourge right here. I believe the paper Pauper GP actually rivaled the Vintage Leagues. I believe that completely. I think Vintage, for the most part, has been a format that a lot of people have been very hesitant to get involved with. Alright, so this is like 100% a Collected Company, right? Not too terribly afraid of company into like double Knight of Autumn, but I feel like I should at least consider it before I play this Scourge. Like, if I don't say it's a possibility and it happens, then we feel bad. But if I say it's a possibility and it happens... Alright, so priority for this Dismember is like Knight of the Reliquary, Scavenging Ooze, something like that. After that, we might not even fire it off. If it's like a Courser or something, maybe we consider it. Alright, do I want to go ahead and take out this Scavenging Ooze? How important is this Scavenging Ooze? Probably, right? Like, especially while they're tapped out now, so if they have, like, Veil of Summer or something, they can't just save it. See, I think my favorite thing about Pauper is that the meta is so split evenly across so many different decks. Like, no one deck in Pauper takes up more than 10% of the meta. Let me see. I haven't looked at the Pauper metagame recently, so let's see what it looks like. Pauper. Oh, go away. Go away. So Tron, 8%. So you're correct with the nothing taking up more than 10. Scredless Scred Fairies. These Pauper decks getting tricky now. Dryad Pass. Love like a fatal push here. Mishra's Bobble's actually not bad. Because Mishra's Bobble means this Tarmogoyf grows bigger than a Courser and Dryad. We'll see if our opponent recognizes that. Sorry, sir. I thought this was a Grixis Boomer Shadow stream. I demand to know the whereabouts of Serum Visions in this list. Unfortunately, the Serum Visions are over here somewhere. I couldn't think of what to play today, so I just decided to leave it to somebody who plays a lot more than I do. And that would be the Phil Hellmuth. Double block my Swift Spear. So bobble ourselves and see a bobble. Do I want a bobble? They gotta have like a path here, right? I can't think of a lot of reasons you just like double block a Swift Spear without some piece of interaction for these. Yeah. Alright, so with that being the case, I'd rather just get this second Tarmogoyf down and figure out Lurrus next turn. I think I'm going to fetch away this bauble. Where are the stubby D's? Again, I don't know if this color combination lends itself very well to Serum Visions and Stubborn Denial. Maybe I'm wrong. Phil won ManaTraders. No, Phil top 8'd though. But I believe he had the time wrong and missed one of his top 8 matches because of it. I think that's what I saw. Spider Space won it. There you go. Also, sorry I'm not being super helpful with what's going on. I'm just kind of gushing about Pauper. Nothing wrong with gushing about a format you enjoy. Blast Zone. Ew. It's not a very nice one. Witch Doctor, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us. Yeah, that Blast Zone is going to be kind of rough. I know they have another path in hand. Yep. You gonna crack in? Heck yeah, you are. All right, Battle Rage off the top. Not quite. So I think that means I'm going to go play Goyf, load Luris into hand. Really hope their last card's not like another collected company here. Alright. That would have sucked. Benz, how's it going? Alright. We have got ourselves a ball game. I actually have a copy of Blast Zone IRL, but I've never been able to pull it off. I got a couple copies that I played in like Red, Blue, Flash, and Standard, and it was always a really cool card. Whether or not it was good is a different argument, but it was fun. All right. So am I just like cranking out Swift Spears? Like Swift Spear from the yard, Swift Spear from a hand. Like I know I'm crashing in with these two Tarmogoyfs. Maybe they block with the Dryad since they have another one on top. But I think I'm just going like Swift Spear from the yard, Swift Spear from hand. Give myself like maximum blockers. That way if they tick up Blast Zone to 3 to take care of Luris, then I just have 2 Swift Spears on board. If they take out my Swift Spears, then I've got a life-linking Luris that can block, and my Tarmogoyf stays alive. But like if I get Bobble, or if I play Swift Spear from hand and get Bobble from the yard, I get the extra card, but if they Blast Zone up to 3 and take out Luris, then I don't have a life-linking blocker. They cycle Veil of Summer. So they drew Dryad off of Veil. Got Hierarch coming up next turn. Sober Amp for Prismari Charm. But what do you cut for it? Which one is Prismari Charm? Take it up to 2, sure. Strixhaven. Red blue, deal 2 damage to any target. Target player draws 2, then discards 2. Oh yeah, this is like the buffed up Is It Charm? Yeah, it's interesting. I'm honestly not too particularly sure why you wouldn't just want to play Is It Charm, since you get to have the counter mode, and I feel like the make a treasure isn't that relevant. Destroy an artifact is like okay, but you kind of do that pretty well anyway, right? Alright, so swing in with my 2 Tarmogoyfs. The plan is to swing in with these. They pop Blast Zone. I get to replay 1 from my yard. And then Fatal Push Courser. Maybe I have to save this for the Excavator. Hmm. 2, 3, they play Blast Zone. I guess I do have to save it for the Excavator. Alright, another Dryad is fine. Yeah, I gotta kill this Excavator. We've got a Blast Zone. So I want to go to my turn before I Fatal Push, because I would like to potentially get Revolt triggers. So if I get something like another push off the top, maybe it opens up the line of like fetch, push, push, bobble from the yard. Now I can swing with Swift Spears. Oh, I didn't even think about them playing multiple lands. Never mind, I gotta kill this Excavator now. I forgot that they could play multiple lands. As they've got multiple Dryads sitting out here. Let's see. I don't know if I want it over K Command or Is It Charm. Right. Like, I feel like it's doing less than what we would potentially like than Is It Charm, since Is It Charm adds like that counter mode on there, which can be really good. And if you compare it to K Command, which is kind of like the closest comparison, not being able to get back a creature is pretty rough, or make them discard. So it seems like Diet K Command and Diet Is It Charm, with a little bit of a convenience factor of being in one card. So yeah, if I had remembered that they could play an extra land, I 100% should have responded to the ETB life gain trigger from Courser on the Blast Zone and killed the Ramanap Excavator. But I just completely forgot that they could get their extra land from the yard. Battle Rage. One time. Also think Prismari helps you with card quality. Yeah, but that would be the same thing as Is It Charm, right? Like the draw discard plus the 2 damage to a creature. So you're like paying 1 more mana for Is It Charm in that regard. So kind of just trying to hit like a creature pocket here. That's an interesting one. So, like, yeah, it is really awkward with that blast zone over there. But I like have to keep making them decide between 1 and 2. It's like I've got to play this Tarmogoyf from the yard. Alright, we'll take your Courser. Deal. I'm A-okay with that trade-off. Like now I know you're drawing a dead card off the top. They can blast zone away the 1-drops here. Alright. This is getting interesting. It's literally the Blast Zone Goyf arms race. It really is. I'm just kind of wondering, like, how I can get them into a really bad attack. Like, let's say I play Bobble from the yard. Are they just ticking up Blast Zone and trying to get Luris dead? Like, I've got this line in my head that's like, I play Bobble, they tick up Blast Zone to 3, they go to their main phase, crack Blast Zone, get Luris off the board, attack with their 2 Dryads into my Swift Spears, and I get to go block, K return, wipe their board. I'm left with a Tarmogoyf. But it's probably just safer to play the Goyf, because if they don't do that, if they just crack Blast Zone on 2, I get to keep my Goyfs around. Or I don't get to keep my Goyfs around, I get to keep my Luris around. But I get to K return the same way and deal with the Dryads. We're also up like 7 minutes on clock just about, which is a very non-zero number of minutes. We won game one, right? Yes, I think. I believe so. So many value cards. Kill me, opponent. Kill me. So yeah, I'm probably just going for like a big attack and a K return this turn. I don't know. We'll see. So Spirit is so confused why she's on the board turn 11. Same. Same. Waiting for opponent to like fetch up a breeding pool and psionic blast me. I guess they don't even need to fetch one up with Dryad. They just have psionic blast. What do we got? It's okay. It's okay. I guess. Start off with you. I think I'm just like only attacking with Scourge and Goyf. That one. Do you have the Path to Exile? Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Alright. that was a weird one. I'm not sure what to think about that series of events. Like Ramanap Excavator, Courser of Crewfix, Blast Zone loops in 2021. Anybody who says Modern is the wild, wild west right now is absolutely correct. Yes, we did win game one. Fun fact. That checks out. We did win game one. The math adds up. Antis Stream Decker is a little finicky, and sometimes you have to write all of deck list. Like, I think I should be able to add a command to shorten that, but Stream Decker has its own mind. Alright, pretty easy mulligan here. We're not disrupting our opponent at all. We're not getting these shadows online until like turn 4. I don't want to keep it since I don't have anything to actually hit my opponent in the face with. But I've got a lot of looks at like a Tarmogoyf or something. Did you see the Esper Shadow list that 5-0'd? I did not. Do you have a link to it? This is a strange hand. Like, we've got these multiple redraws off of our baubles. Looking for like a Tarmogoyf where we can get a shadow online pretty quickly. Like, this is 2, 4, 6, 9. Turn 2 shadow if we find it. Third land means we get to start like Luris looping baubles. So I think we've got a lot of live draws. Seal of Fire. See if we can get an idea of what our opponent's playing. Burn. Ooh. So look, I kind of want this Seal of Fire. I'm going to take it. I need a way to deal with the creature. I'm playing out Bloodstained Mire here because I want to get green so I can just get like a tapped Overgrown Tomb into turn here. Untap, get like basic Swamp or basic Mountain, Thoughtseize them, Seal of Fire their threat. Alright, so let's get... Is there any reason to get Overgrown or Stomping Ground over Overgrown Tomb and get basic Swamp? I don't think so. Push is also good. So I do have Eidolon. Which means I think I'm just taking Boros Charm. Am I playing Seal or Fatal Push? I kind of think I'm playing Seal. Potentially like taking the 1 off of the Swift Spear. And then sealing the Eidolon. So I don't take damage off of a trigger on it. They only have 1 Lava Spike. Alright, let's check out this Esper list. So, Forest Shadow, Hex Parasite, Ranger Captain, Snapcaster, Tasker, Tide Hollow, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Unearth, Dismember, Drown, Push, Path, Stub. So you said these Luris were main deck? Yeah, because I got 15 sideboard cards. Huh. Not entirely sure what I think about that list. Like, it's cool, but there's a lot of, like, 1s and 2s of cards that I feel like you want to see more often. Really don't like playing Shadow without TBR, honestly. So it's kind of funny that you bring that up, because me and Steven were talking about that literally last night. And that there's a reason that the only Shadow lists that have ever like put up results at major events or the only shadow lists that put up any kind of consistency, even if it's over like a brief metagame period, are running red and battle rage. And like you can follow that trend across years and years and years. Like Grixis, Four Color, Mardu when it was around for a little bit, Jun Shadow. The only real exception was like Sultai when Oko was legal, but that's Oko. Card's stupid. But for every other period, like Shadow decks have needed Battle Rage because it just gives you a large percentage of free win games, and you need that over the course of a large tournament. Battle Rage wins you games you shouldn't win. Exactly. I think I'm going to go ahead and Thoughtseize. Like, I know this is going to hit some burn spell. So I might as well just, like, get the value out of it now. Even if it's just Searing Blaze, that means they're not Searing Blazing my Luris. As such. Cuts a turn off from a combo deck. That it does. Please don't be an Eidolon. Please don't be an Eidolon. Big bucks, no Eidolons. Alright. Lands, you can chill out a little bit. I think I'm actually just going to play Seal here because I think I want to protect myself from creatures more than I want to protect myself from spells. Like, I can't protect myself from spells. But I've got a chance here to protect myself from creatures, especially one like Eidolon. So maybe my opponent's drawing like Eidolon, Swift Spears, or they're just drawing a bunch of lands, and maybe I get to connect with this Luris and the game ends. Dang. It's worth a try. Big beefy beater. Big beefy beater. Big beefy beater. Okay. So we've got 4 Swift Spear, 4 Bowmat, 4 Shadow, 4 Scourge. And we have seen not a lot of them. Shadow. Not a Shadow. Gotta get my play set before paper comes back. I've been jamming Mardu, Prowess, Shadow, and it's been so gas. Mardu, Shadow, Prowess. That's a lot of words to put together in a deck. What's the white part for? Alright, out of curiosity. There was our Scourge. Somewhere. Ugh, so far down. It's pretty much just the Rakdos deck with a white splash for sideboard cards. Fair enough. What kind of sideboard cards are you splashing for? Bomat is pretty good in this deck. Bomat's even better when you actually see it. So the scariest thing about this hand is if my opponent just starts off with like Inspiring Vantage, Mountain, something like that, and I've got to aggressively deal damage to them, there's a chance that they can just like stay above the 14 or so life threshold, which is where I need to get them below for Scourge of the Skyclaves to not die to Lightning Helix. So I'm probably leading off on an Inquisition here. Get Blood Crypt Inquisition. Because I need to know, like, am I free to play out this Bomat and start attacking? Do I need to be more concerned with Eidolons and Swift Spears and such? Alright, Blood Crypt, Inquisition. That is a whole lot of no creatures. So we'll just take a bolt. Spindrift Bolt, sure. Second land is good. So we can get Swamp. Thoughtseize, probably like Searing Blaze. Something that deals with both Bomat and hits me in the face. And we see they drew the Lightning Helix, which means what I was talking about with getting them below 14 life is very relevant here. Something like Collective Brutality would be pretty good. But I think I just have to play out Scourge. And if they decide to throw a burn spell at it, so be it. Burn's a terrible match. It's definitely not the greatest for Scourge. Like, you can have hands that line up fairly well, but you need, like, shadows, not Scourges. Alright. I'm going to try to force the issue with this Helix. Like, I'm expecting they're just going to go face and try to kill me on their next turn. But if they do and maybe they brick, then I want to give myself the most chance of having, like, this bolt next turn be lethal. And if they decide not to and want to, like, bolt or Helix Scourge instead. That's a path, sure. Yep. That works. Boo. Okay, on to match 4. Burn has definitely gotten a lot more popular in recent weeks. Let's see. What have we played against this league? We played against Burn. Lost that one. We played against Bant Stoneblade. We won that one. And we played against Green-White Value Town. What do we got here? Hand's fine. It's nothing special, but there's no glaring weakness outside of the fact we would like one of our bigger threats. This has usually been like my that's a good draw. My distaste for this Rakdos deck or Rakdos base deck is it's always felt underpowered if you didn't find a Scourge or a Shadow. So kind of the hope here is that adding Tarmogoyf to that mix helps to increase the power level enough. So this is probably like the new Ad Nauseam build. Don't show me this. Don't give me hope. You'll be even more excited when you see what the win conditions are. Ready for this? Alright, what am I taking here? Just Unlife. Yep. Am I bolting myself for the Prowess trigger? Sure. Because if they, like, this gets Shadow online, gets an extra point with Prowess, and if they play, like, at Thassa's Oracle, I get to dismember it anyway. I had no expectations, and I'm still immeasurably disappointed. Rough. Rough. Alright, so second shadow is a really good draw. Am I supposed to go for the prowess trigger here? So I can dismember one of my shadows to get the prowess trigger. I don't think I'm supposed to, though. And the reason is kind of like this mind game of if my opponent doesn't think I can kill them next turn, then there's a much better chance that they do something that they wouldn't do otherwise. And I don't think the 1 point of damage is worth it. Alright. Fetch land off the top. Or I guess they still have Angel's Grace. Never mind. Ugh. So if I dismember, doesn't matter, they get to Angel's Grace anyway. Like if I Battle Rage, say Angel's Grace, and they just go to 1. So I need to save this for next turn anyway. If I get a next turn, I think they just get like a land here. Why Thassa's Oracle? Oh, because they just have another spoils. Got it. Got it. So I would have loved to have dismembered my own shadow into Battle Rage there, but that just meant that they were going to fire off the Angel's Grace, and next turn I wouldn't be able to Battle Rage my shadow and kill them. Or it means I wouldn't have a Battle Rage for next turn to kill them through the Phyrexian Unlife. So I needed to put them down to 0. If they didn't have the Angel's Grace, yes, I would Battle Rage my shadow for lethal. But alas, our opponent's a big meanie head. Ren888, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you for coming by and hanging out with us, checking out some Sweet Death Shadow action. Apparently that deserved a little head waggle. Some Sweet Death Shadow action. It is a pretty great line. Like anytime you get to dismember your own dudes to turn on Ferocious. So I know that they aren't turning on these Scourges. So I think that means I have to mulligan. Alright, this is better. It could have been anything, even a playable hand. Could have been a boat. You know how much we've always wanted one of those. So, fetch land, I can play out a shadow next turn. I can just play out a Scourge regardless. So that's what I'm leaning towards right now. Yeah. I think we're just going to get Scourge down. Matt coming in with the 4-month resub. In a world of shadows, he who yeets the yeeted will be yeeten as none has been yoked before. Oh, truer words have never been spoken. To the yotiest go the spoils. Alright, so let's go Blood Crypt. Is this ad nause? Of course this is ad nause. Like, why would you think anything other than ad nause based off this start? Alright, what am I doing? Only thing about life total adjustments. I attack them for 4 here. They go to 14. Scourge becomes a 6/6. I play out a 1/1 shadow. Next turn I'm swinging for 6, 7, 8, 9. Swing at 9, they're at 14. I bolt them, that's lethal. So basically the size on the shadow I don't think matters here, is what I'm getting at. The size of the shadow is not changing the clock. So if the size of the shadow is not changing the clock, then I don't need to worry about like bolting myself to get shadow online. It's not the size of the shadow, it's the motion of the TBR. Touche. Touche. What? Additional cost, sack a creature, add 3 red. I say again, what? So, with, I don't know what their line is to win off, God, I wonder if they get to, like, play some terrible creature like Memnite or something. I'm going to crack this, because if I draw a Thoughtseize, if I draw many a Thoughtseize, I want to fire them off here. If I draw literal nothing but Thoughtseizes, I want to have the ability to cast them. I really hope opponent just like rips another ad nauseum off the top. Like, I want to see this as well. If I draw some number of Thoughtseizes. Oh, are they doing it? Blind rip the spoils. We're doing it. I don't know what it is we're doing it, but ha, you got a poison. Get wrecked, opponent. Ornithopter Infernal Plunge. We gonna find out. No, I saw it. I saw it, opponent. You can't hide it. But do they have the mana to cast Infernal Plunge? Like, they played a land for turn, the City of Brass. How are they making a free red mana to cast it? This is great because, like, I haven't seen the new ad nauseum variants go off, so outside of like Thassa's Oracle and the one we saw the other day that was running the Eldrazi dude. Yeah, like nothing in here says they can make red mana to kill me. Man, opponent, if only there were a free card you could play in your deck that you could exile from your hand to make a red mana. Nuts. I don't even know what you would call such a card. Like something that guides you to victory. I got nothing. I cannot come up with a good card design. Get to see their game list for game 3. What a scrub. I was going to say they win because Ornithopter Plunge makes mana if they filter for Thassa's Oracle. That part makes sense completely. I just missed a certain portion of it there. Alright, so like I like it because we interact with things like Pentad Prism really well. But we're not putting on a particularly quick clock. I think I'm going to keep it because we saw Leyline game 2. So if they just have Leylines this game, like this hand plays around Leyline. It guides you in spirit to victory, Monka S. The immediate punishment for keeping a good hand that plays around Leyline. Pentad Prism. All right. Not quite the things we wanted to draw. I missed that too. We spoke with Ice 9. I've heard the tales. So this is like worst case scenario from the shadow side is you play against something with like ley lines and they just have a good ley line hand. Like Leyline itself usually doesn't win games. Leyline backed up with just like a strong hand. Like in this case, turn 2 Pentad Prism, turn 3 Phyrexian Unlife. That wins games. Matt redeemed Hydrate. Gotcha. A little bit of water in there. Need to refill. I am hydrated. Ooh, do they not have a 4th mana source? Ooh, there's a chance. So let's go bolt ourselves. Literally just doing this for prowess. Hiya. 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 Did I buy Valentine's Heliod? I didn't even know that was a thing. What have I missed out on? Alright, so we appear to be in a race with our opponent to to who can find relevant cards first. Probably means I'm dead. Somehow, some way. That one. Doesn't matter. Still killing it. This is a matter of principle, opponent. Speaking for everybody at home, I know this doesn't do anything. Still killing it because I got a bolt. Yes. Do I remember Electric Bog? I remember the Electric Boogaloo. Oh, it's from the same set as the Swift Spear? Then no, I have not gotten Valentine's Heliod's. Nor do I intend to, because I never want to play that deck on Moto. What did they name with spoils? I'm assuming they named anything that wasn't in their deck. And when I say anything, I mean literal anything. Humpus Lumpus. Deal. Abandon Hope is usually the go-to option there. What? What? There's a glitch in the Matrix. There's a glitch in the Matrix. We've gone back in time. This place, I've seen it before. Oh, man. Alright. Alright. Playing down Peatland, or bolting myself and playing Peatland because after the course of a couple turns, Peatland is going to have done more damage to me than Blood Crypt would have. So if I get the Peatland down first and start pinging myself with it, then it's going to deal more over the long term. And since we're not winning in the next turn or two, I want to get that extra damage in. So let's be mana efficient. Yeah. So we can put them to 0 next turn. Which means if they do something like hard cast, never mind. Well then. Opponent's a big meanie face. Yeah, that's right, opponent. You didn't know about that fetch land we just drew. Just gonna do this. I don't want them to have some cheese like Lightning Storm kill me if I go to bolt myself in their hands, just or Seal of Fire myself in their hands like Lightning Storm and a bunch of lands. So you don't got it. You don't got it. Deja vu indeed. First I was afraid, now I'm petrified. Alright. You. Might skip out on the brutalities this game. Just go like that. We're not exactly geared to beat ad nauseum. And by not exactly geared, I mean like we're not playing Assassin's Trophy, we're not playing Stubborn Denial, Disdainful Stroke, like any relevant cards for this matchup. All right. So, did they scry top or bottom? Bottom. Perfect. They've fallen into our trap already. So I'm getting Overgrown Tomb here because every other land in our deck outside of basic Swamp makes black mana. Or makes red mana. So I want to make sure I'm like getting this threat down on turn 2. So double spoils, and they've got the Phyrexian Unlife coming off the top. So let's start chugging through some spoils. Alright. Mana efficiency. I could Thoughtseize away the Unlife right now. Or I could play the Tarmogoyf, attack. Or no, I've got Fetch Land. Yeah. I was getting one track because I forgot I drew the Fetch Land. Because of that, I can just Thoughtseize the Phyrexian Unlife and play Shadow. What's with all the Adnals? No idea. I could not give you a good reason. Alright. Lotus Bloom is fine as long as their last card, or their card drawn last turn wasn't a Thassa's Oracle. We're okay at the moment. Playing against Adnals as well right now. I'm on Mardu. Feels bad. Right, like any of the Shadow variants with Stubborn Denial are just going to like roll through these decks. But any of these red-black based Shadow decks are going to have a really tough time. Still the fastest combo deck right now. Like what other combo decks are there? Breach. Is this faster than Oops All Spells without Simian Spirit Guide? Because I feel like with the amount of mana rocks you have access to, that deck could be like pretty consistent turn 3. Storm is fast. But I mean, I guess Storm's another one that's got like its internal fail rate, right? This damage off foothills doesn't matter, right? Like, it's not making anything lethal that wasn't already lethal. Storm is fast, but Fatal Push isn't a dead card. That's true. Also, Electrodominance Living In is way faster than Ad Nauseam. People are playing it a lot. Are they playing it a lot? I don't know if Kami's in the chat, but I know, yeah. Positive. Alright, so for the most part, let's pull the list back up. Grixis, Jun. There. So, for the most part, the deck felt like Rakdos to me. Like, Tarmogoyf came up a couple times. The sideboard green, I don't think, came up at all. It's a cool iteration on the typical red-black Scourge deck. But I feel like, especially with a league like that, we saw Ad Nauseam twice. We saw Bant Stoneblade. Which I got to update the matchup guide. Ad Naus. Like, Ad Nauseam, both of those are probably a buy for, like, Grixis. But a little less so for Rakdos or Rakdos Splash Green, which is what I'm calling this. I refuse to call it Jund. We're going Rakdos Splash Green. Because, like, you're not using any of the green-based removal, like Abrupt Decays, Assassin's Trophies, no Veil of Summers. Like, it's a very, very light green splash. Mostly just for Tarmogoyf. Which obviously worked out extremely well for Helmuth, Phil Helmuth. So I can't say it's wrong in the slightest. We definitely play a game that is governed by wins and losses.